Are we late?
I mean, I just keep telling you every single time, Brandon.
I swear to God, if you put this on me.
You got to stop pooping, man.
If you put this on me.
You just got to wake up earlier. Like, if you really manage your time better, I feel like the show would flow a little bit more, just like your bowels, right? If you get kind of... We here.
I was not pooping, steer.
You in the right direction. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna, and this is a G, a P, a S. We here, folks. We're back. It was my fault that we were late this morning. It was my fault. I still was unpacking and had to unpack all of the equipment that I brought to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I got back a little bit later than I wanted to yesterday, but it don't matter because finally we freaking fracking back, and oh boy, we got a lot to talk about.
We're back, and we're here. It's like the summer's over now. We both did our last trips same weekend, and now
pain
business.
Yeah, it's just nose to the grindstone. And yeah, I mean, it's about that time. The second week of preseason is pretty much in the books, right? I think there's a game tonight, right? I think it's the Commanders
Ravens.
Ugh. Yeah.
The Battle of Maryland, as I call it.
23 straight games, I think they have. Their undefeated streak in the past few. Still there.
Dumbest record in sports right now.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Oh, what? Jesus Christ. Yeah, we got to get back to
it. We're not that popular. Come on.
No. Definitely not. Brandon, you had a nice little vacation, right? Went back up to the mountains.
We were up in the mountains. Yeah, up at Grand Lake. Really beautiful place. Relaxed, drank, rode. And now I'm back.
There you go. All right.
I'm so excited to be here. I love working. Just want to disappear into the woods forever. What?
I mean,
I'm just saying. Ted Kaczynski may have been onto something. Off the grid living, right? That's what he was about.
So we went on vacation, but yeah, I was in Green Bay, Wisconsin for training camp. So a little vacation action, but also some business and some work to be handled. And look, I think there's some excitement for both of our teams. We're going to kind of talk about the biggest preseason news thus far. We missed a bunch last week because we were off on Wednesday and Friday. But yeah, we're going to be diving into it. And the Denver Broncos. I see Brandon.
We're back, baby.
You were live tweeting that thing. You were just like, ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. I was watching it.
Yeah, I wasn't streaming. I was in the mountains. I had great cell service for some reason. Game was on. Kids were screaming, so I couldn't really hear what was going on with the game. But I'm like, hey, kicker's making kicks. Russell Wilson's making plays with his legs. We're doing okay. We'll get into the Broncos. You were in Green Bay at training camp, hanging out with the guys, the gals, the Packers, people covering the Packers. What'd you learn? What's the buzz underneath the, just the shit we get on the surface?
Oh yeah, no. First of all, we'll talk about Drew Lock. I actually do want to talk about Drew Lock because
he made a couple nice passes, and dude, I hope Drew Lock tricks Seahawks fans too. I hope he tricks all of you. But actually, I'm rooting for Drew.
No. The answer is no.
Oh, is that what I got to mail?
Yeah, the answer is no.
I can see what I got to mail to Tom. It's right there. I'll get to it. I promise.
Yeah, it's no.
I promise.
Don't gotta worry about that. Okay.
Well,
so
maybe.
First of
5
all,
billion.
There is a legit excitement about Jordan Love, like a ton of excitement. There's a ton of Jordan Love jerseys. And we went, so Monday, I was supposed to get in on Sunday. Flight got delayed, which would have maybe missed the layover. So couldn't get in until Monday. And it doesn't matter because that practice was washed out as well. So, oh yeah, Jalen Carter, dude. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're going to talk about maybe some QBs who are rising up the ranks in preseason because there's some that are sticking out. Looking at you, Mr. Aiden O'Connell there. So, just saying. But a lot of excitement around Jordan Love. When I got there on Wednesday, it was a long practice. So the joint practices they had, because they had 2 with the Patriots, they had one on Wednesday and one on Thursday. And the Wednesday practice was like over 2.5 hours. Like it was a long practice. And we did worry about, so we have Anders Carlson, who is the kicker we drafted because we didn't bring back Mason Crosby. He's new. And so like that's causing some concern, though crushed it on Saturday's game. So there's that, but it was getting really chippy the second day. The first day it was like, okay, Jordan like made a really good throw to Christian Watson, but nothing really to talk home about. The second day, the amount of fighting that was going on, Jabril Peppers was like running to the sideline and was saying there are a bunch of like fake ass tough guys here in Green Bay. And like that was getting them riled up. The Packers had a rough practice that day. And it just seemed like the Patriots were punching in the mouth a little bit. It was so chippy that I think there was like 6 fights that broke out just at that practice.
Nice.
Then you go to the game on Saturday and they start fighting like 40 minutes before kickoff because like both teams are like warming up and then they both like run to the 50-yard line and there already is like a scuffle. So it was a chippy practice, but of course they ended the game a little bit early. Isaiah Bolden got injured. He got released from the hospital, thankfully. So that was a bit scary because he had about like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And Isaiah Bolden, the CB, he got popped real hard. It went down immediately. He was down for about like 15 minutes. They brought the stretcher out, the whole 9 yards. And thankfully, he did get released from the hospital. The Patriots canceled joint practice with the Titans this week that they were supposed to do, but he's traveling with the team. So it seems like everything is going to be okay, hopefully. So that was scary. But Jordan Love comes in. Unfortunately, we have some center issues right now. And I don't know if Josh Myers, who's a former draft pick, is going to win that starting job. I don't think he is if I was a gambling man. He sent one like wide right snap and it just didn't look good. But Jordan Love came in the second drive and lit it up and threw a really, really nice touchdown pass to Jaden Reed. And the thing that stood out the most was how efficient the offensive line was. And you just kind of get the feeling that because he's a newer quarterback, yes, he's been sitting for 3 years, but in terms of just playing time, you get him a strong offensive line, which it looks like the Packers have built, and Dave Bakhtiari wasn't even in. And he has actually some time to like work through his progressions, get guys, the defenders off of receivers with his eyes. Yeah, like he could be pretty good. So there is a lot of excitement there in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Jaden Reed, where's he going to land on the depth chart? Is he going to be like wide receiver 3?
I think he's going to be 3. Yeah, because they have Christian Watson, who's going to be 1, Romeo Dobbs, who's going to be 2, and Romeo, oh my God, made a disgusting catch on the sideline. But yeah, I think Jaden Reed is going to be number 3. And then Luke Musgrave is like the talk of the town right now. So Luke Musgrave, one of the tight ends that we just drafted in this year's draft, because we drafted Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. And Musgrave, like in the joint practices, they were running end arounds with him. So like they just seem to be like utilizing him like as a weapon. And we've talked about this, that usually tight ends, like rookie tight ends, usually don't do a whole lot because it's tough, right? They got to learn like pass protection schemes. They got to, of course, learn routes and all that great stuff. It's a big transition from college to the pros. And Tucker Kraft, it seems like they are going to give him every opportunity to be that guy and make a splash early on.
Yeah, do the Packers have like the youngest receiving core on earth?
They have one guy who's 25. Everybody else is younger.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. Legit,
That's
it's
crazy.
crazy, dude. It's super duper crazy. So, yeah, man, like it's exciting. I got a chance to interview Mark Murphy on Friday, the president of the Packers, and yeah. I have been for a long time.
Oh yeah, what? Did you post that interview yet?
Not yet. No, I posted a teaser. I'm gonna post some clips and stuff.
What was
Johnny
the little
finished.
nugget you gained? I don't want you to give it away, but what was like you sat down with him, you have expectations going into the interview, and then
Sure.
like most interviews, things kind of, happen, maybe go in directions you didn't expect. But what was one thing you learned?
Yeah, it's about a 30-minute interview. Yeah, so we got a good chunk of time with him. But the exciting thing that I know a lot of Packers fans particularly want to hear about, I didn't go away. Like I don't want to say he was like brushing off or like trying to move on, but like I asked about social media because
I saw your
Packers
Instagram post,
like 30-second, and talked about kind of like the interaction with the fan base and things like that, and showing footage and all that. And I stuck on that topic for a while and kind of pushed because it's something that a lot of people want to learn about. I talked about his role because when Mark Murphy became the president of the Packers, basically they worked on the trade of Brett Favre. So that like kind of started his career as the Packers CEO, and then he's kind of like starting to end his career with the trade of Aaron Rodgers. Talk about those two things as well. So yeah, we'll talk about draft and stuff, but a lot of it was like social media stuff. Talked about Jordan Love and what the team thinks about him and kind of their expectations for the season for the team. So yeah, there's some good stuff in there. Oh yeah, Clowney. Yeah, Clowney, number 24, signing with the Ravens. He's going to do well. Like Clowney's that guy. We talked about him on GPS. He's the guy who just does like 1 to 2 year deals, and like he'll like start off doing well. He's like decent, but then not enough for him to get another extension. Yeah. Plus, he's getting older now.
He never lived up to the hype of his draft spot.
No.
He's like just an all around solid player. He's never had like elite sack numbers, and that's what you want from an edge guy, but he's so athletic. You can do a lot of things with him. And the Ravens are usually one of those teams that are really smart about how they rotate edge players. Like,
sure.
They get rid of guys, they bring new guys in. They just find ways to make it work. Their defensive line always seems to be pretty decent, but
oh, we're streaming it together. Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, good God.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be streaming.
We'll be doing a handful of live streams together as usual. Johnny mentioned you should draft Luke Musgrave in your Underdog fantasy drafts. I posted 2. Oh damn, we already filled. Wait, did we fill that already? We filled one of our 2 drafts. I didn't even mention it, and there's only 5 spots left in a Underdog draft to play against me or me and Tom, depending on when Tom signs.
I'm doing it right now. Oh, this is loud.
Oops, I might have to create a third. But use our code GPS, use our link. Those are the only ways you should sign up for Underdog. Our link, our code, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. We've been doing private drafts here. You got in? You in, Tom?
I got in the second one. I'm going to try the first one now. There's only 3 spots left in the other one. Is the other one full?
Yeah.
All right, never mind. So I got in the second one. Got it. Nailed it. Crushed it. Tom crushed it.
Dang. Maybe I'll drop a third. Maybe I'll drop a third in there.
Live, laugh,
anyway, Underdog Fantasy football drafts. Right now, summertime, you're drafting for their Best Ball Mania tournaments. That's
y'all like disclaimers.
Now, you're done. Thank you for the disclaimer. You draft once. Underdog uses your best possible score every week. It's a season-long tournament. They have weekly winners where same format, but every week there are payouts for whoever finishes in the top like 20. I forget the exact number of prizes, but there's a bunch there. Also, though, they're adding pick'em leagues, so you can play in their season-long pick'em leagues. That's a new thing, and they added the pick'em games to the state of Colorado. Got to have 4 picks. You're guessing higher or lower on stat totals for players. I tried a baseball one, knowing nothing about baseball, and I just guessed. I got 4 out of 5 wrong, so I'm just gonna stick to football because that's what I know.
Wait a minute, did I really get first pick? Oh my God, I have not gotten the first pick in an under. Is that true?
Let me see.
Oh my God, I did it! Finally!
You finally got a first
pick.
Ooh. Oh. And then during the season, you can play in weekly fantasy leagues, right? So it's the weekend slate of games. We'll be hosting some of those drafts as well. So make sure you get signed up at Underdog so you can play against us throughout this season. And dang sure, use that code. Who you pick? Who'd you pick?
Justin Jefferson. I haven't picked him in any leagues because I haven't been able to. So
there you go.
He's gonna torch. He's gonna do well. He's gonna do well. So
Joe Ball 007, Joe Balls, you're on the clock.
Boom. Disclaimer.
You got disclaimed.
Okay.
Boom. So we're gonna get to the biggest preseason stories today. That's what we want to talk about. I think 2 are with the Raiders. Thank you, Joey. Joe Balls, you made your pick. Who'd you take? Oh, you took Jamar Chase, you son of a bitch.
Are you pick 3?
No.
Oh.
I thought Jamar was gonna fall to pick 5, but he didn't. I'm going Tyreek Hill. Okay.
All right.
Broncos. Watch that preseason game. Improvements. Offensive line looked better. Massive concern against the Cardinals game 1. They looked better. Still don't even have McGlinchey in at right tackle. I couldn't rewind the TV in the mountains, but they showed the graphic of the Broncos right tackles who have been playing since I don't even remember the year. But there's just a list of like 30 dudes. I'm like, I don't even remember that guy starting games for us. I don't remember that guy. So McGlinchey, he hasn't played yet. Hopefully, he'll be back and ready to go for the regular season. Line looked better, though. Pass pro looked better. Russell Wilson, they had him running. He was making plays with his legs. That's good. It feels like Sean Payton understands that you should utilize Russell Wilson's athleticism and that if the run game works, that's really the only way Russ functions. So the running backs via traditional running the football has to work. And then you need the element of danger from Russell Wilson to run the ball as well. Doesn't have to be a ton, but the defense has to respect the run game, the quarterback being able to run and move the sticks, which he showed a few times, which opens up the passing game for Russell Wilson. If there's no threat there, then defenses can smother the passing game and take it away from Russell Wilson. That's basically what happened to the Broncos most of last season. So he looked a little better. Both positive directions for the team that we're excited about. Javonte Williams coming in playing. He was going to play I don't know, they said 12 snaps or some shit before the game. The first 4 plays of the game all were intended to go to Javonte Williams. First play was a screen pass that he dropped. Would have been a big gain. But man, Javonte blew out his knee. First preseason game back to every play is just going to Javonte. Very encouraging. Samaje Perine comes in after him and just looks like a really, really good number 2 back. And Brett Maher made all of his field goals and extra points. So thank the Lord for that, Brett.
Are we both have kicker concerns this year?
We're both what's
that's going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your team won't even need to make kicks because you're going to lose anyway. Suck it. We were so close to winning so many games last year, and we didn't. So even when we were bad, we're still close. Now. Oh, yeah. And Jaleel McLaughlin, running back number 3. Dude is legit. Oh, man. Couple touchdowns. DiNucci threw him one. Put some dudes on skates. And unlike Javonte and Perine, he is just extremely elusive. Javonte is going to break tackles. Samaje Perine is going to get 7 yards and then throw his shoulder down and make you pay for tackling him. And then McLaughlin, fast, speedy, elusive. Love what the possibilities are. Concerns. Wide receivers keep getting hurt. Oh my God. Just stop getting hurt, wide receivers. Jalen Virgil, 50-yard play. Tears his meniscus on the tackle. That's a dude who's doing exactly what you wanted to see in the preseason, goes out there, makes an incredible play, and then he gets hurt. This is after, KJ Hamler, they let him go with the heart condition. Tim Patrick's injured. So it's just like the receiver depth starting to get a little concerning, and the regular season hasn't started. Edge rushers look better. Although Frank Clark played like in the fourth quarter, which was funny. Those are my takeaways. Well, and the Broncos lost on the final play of the game for the second week in a row.
Again.
Not concerned. It's a third string defense. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I need to thank you, Brandon.
Why?
Because another guy who's been kind of lighting it up in the past 2 preseason games is a guy who is competing to be our RB3, because of course we have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, and that is Emmanuel Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
And Emmanuel Wilson signed as an undrafted free agent by the Denver Broncos, and then made his way all over to Green Bay. And last week against the Bengals, he broke out, only got 6 carries, but had 111 yards and 2 tutties. And you're like, okay, all right, that's good. Like, for a third string guy on the depth chart, that's not too bad. And then against the Patriots, he still did well. He had 15 carries and still had 63 yards. So, hard-nosed runner, looking good. Of course, there's guys like Patrick Taylor who are still competing for RB3, but you also have guys who are going to be on special teams. If he can block, Emmanuel Wilson's going to be pretty darn good. So, that's actually really exciting to see, because I think there is going to probably be a decent emphasis on the run game. And I mean that in a bunch of different ways. You, of course, can throw Jones just about anywhere. You could throw to him, whatever. Dylan, hopefully he has a little bit of a better year. And then if you have Wilson also, great, the traditional stuff. But then you have end arounds, guys. You have Christian Watson who can get it. You have Jaden Reed. There's so much speed on this offense. And I think that has been something that's been missing for a while, because you've had MVS, right? MVS got signed. He was our stretch the field guy. He was really our only guy with speed. Now we have a bunch of those guys. So it's super duper exciting just to see what this offense could potentially look like. And Jordan Love the past 2 games has impressed. So I'm telling you, if we get a good, the offensive line holds up, hell yeah, we're going to be rocking. But again, it's also just preseason. So it's tough to gauge, but I'm excited. I'm that optimism's getting a bit higher, just a bit.
Well, security, a little false sense of security. We're both starting to feel. Love it. Great. Nothing's going wrong for us this season.
The Lions aren't trading him. There ain't no way. Yeah. No way. I just hope they run the ball. I really do. But you mentioned the Raiders, and I do want to talk about the Raiders, because is that the sleep apnea machine? True. So that is.
I sleep well.
Oh, okay, that's gonna be good.
Raiders.
Let's talk. We'll do the bad news first, because I know you like that the best.
Sure.
Okay, let's talk about Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs, there was an article on the NFL.com that was posted within the past 24 hours or so that basically said that there wasn't any update, that Josh McDaniels was asked about Josh Jacobs, and he's like, I don't know. He goes, it's going to take him a while to ramp up and get back into it. So even if he does report, because he still hasn't signed his franchise tender. So technically he's not really getting fined right now because he hasn't signed it. And then you have PFT come out and say, hey, it's expected that he's going to sign it sooner rather than later. But it seems that regardless, this is going to be the last season for Josh Jacobs. It just seems like it's not going to work out for whatever reason, whether it's Josh McDaniels, whether it's the contract issue. It just doesn't seem like it's going to come to a peaceful resolution that's going to get him a long-term contract. But the good news about the Raiders, probably in a week or 2, the good news about the Raiders is there's a guy there with the most Irish name ever, which I appreciate. Aiden O'Connell, who last week was tearing it up. And he had, what was his stats last week against he did a 15 for 18, 141 yards and 1 tutty. And that was against the 49ers, right? And then this past week, and he had some really good throws. This week, 11 for 18, 163 yards, 2 tutties. And I think the most important thing that stands out there besides that is the offensive line has only allowed 1 sack on him. In 2 games. They've only allowed 2 sacks in 2 games. And I know that has been an issue for the Raiders for a while. Is their O-line, they bring in like these old guys or like these just enormous guys like incognitos of the world. And they're like, okay, they could be good, but, kind of need some management and all that. But that's a good sign for the Raiders. And I think for a team that had an offseason that wasn't great, because, there's rumors of like, oh, we're going to get Tom Brady. We're going to get, this guy. And they end up with Jimmy Garoppolo. And they're like, okay, that's a very whelming decision. I think any kind of just like flash or hope and a guy like Aiden O'Connell, because I feel like majority of people know what they got in Jimmy Garoppolo of like, hey, this guy like could be something. And again, it is just preseason. So not to jump the gun with anything. But my question to you, while completely jumping the gun, is do you think Aiden O'Connell actually gets a start for the Raiders this year? At any point during the season, do you think he starts? If he does well again in this third and final game?
Yeah, I mean, when Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt, he'll have to start. Just the way it goes with Jimmy G, man. He's all looks, no gristle, Jimmy G. Now that football started, I have to hate Jimmy Garoppolo. Love him. Outside the regular season. But now I got to start taking him seriously as an opponent. And so I just got to be honest. Probably going to miss some time. Aiden O'Connell. Is he this year's Brock Purdy, Tom?
Next on BS Sports.
First crap. Ooh, that actually applies to our show. Look, I think Raiders fans are in a spot where they should legitimately be optimistic about their football team.
Okay.
Through 2 preseason games, they've looked good. They have played well. Basically for 2 sets of 4 quarters. That's how long a football game is. They got mad I didn't mention them last week in my stock up, stock down video. They played against the Rams, played well. Defense looks decent. Mm-hmm. They look like a team that's ready to play. And they've got this quarterback nobody talked about who's playing very well. Is that coaching? Is he just really good? Don't know. But yes. Okay, Raiders fans, I'll say it. You guys look good. You look good so far. What does that mean right now? It is so hard to say in the preseason. Don't know. What I also wanted to mention, the Josh Jacobs news about him possibly ready to return, you better hope that he's back because I think for that offense to really work, he has to be there. And so before the show, I put in the rundown, Josh Jacobs plans to report to Raiders before the season. Tom's like, where did you see this? I saw something different. So basically, what all of this comes down to is one single report about Josh Jacobs being ready to return. It was from a Raiders reporter somewhere. Where the hell is the article? I've already lost it.
I'm so glad
you made one report, and then you see like 60 freaking outlets all saying the same thing. He's back. He's coming back. I don't think there's anybody who went out and got like a second confirmation from like any other source. So right now, like if you're looking at football news, it's really hard to tell whether the fuck Josh Jacobs is ready to come back or not. I don't know what's true. Maybe. I hope he's back for his sake because I love Josh Jacobs' story. I think he's incredibly talented, and I think he deserves to get paid. I would love if he did not play for the Raiders this year as a Broncos fan. That would really, I mean, a lot of my underdog fantasy drafts might be screwed, but if he doesn't play, that's better for me. And when Aiden O'Connell eventually takes over, yes, he's going to need Josh Jacobs.
It's the way that it's phrased because when you said over the Pro Football Talk thing, it's like he's expected to sign soon. And I was like, that means nothing. Like that means it's like, yeah, I mean, like sooner rather than later, he should come back. That's what we think. But it goes to show like what you're talking about one report being made. And we're at that time of year again, where it's like, hey, that's going to run and people are going to just make a gajillion articles off of it. And I have the perfect example for you, Brandon Perna. So, because one of our friends was in the news lately, or recently, I should say. One friend? Kurt Benkert.
Oh, yeah.
Went on the show Kay Adams, and he said, this was his hot take, that David Bakhtiari at some point was likely to be reunited with Aaron Rodgers over with the Jets. Right? So there's that. One. That is good. Pats, their offense looks better than what I thought it was going to be. Okay, legitimately. At least in camp, they were moving it all over the Packers defense. So he goes on, Kay Adams says that Bakhtiari might make his way over. So because he makes that comment, it gets fit. The rumor mill takes off. All the aggregate accounts, and we all know the ones we're talking about, who just like gather a bunch of crap and are just like, oh, let's present this as breaking news. Oh, Dave Bakhtiari is like going to go to the Jets. What are the odds? My DMs start getting filled with, oh, is Dave Bakhtiari going to the Jets? Just because Kurt Benkert went on the Kay Adams show, is like, yeah, this is my hot take. Like, I think that this could be the case. Now, my actual opinion is Bakhtiari's gone next year. I think it's just done. I think it's going to get to a point like you're going to play through this year unless the Packers are like horrible. I saw that. Unless they're like horrible. Like, I mean, they're like 1-2 games, maybe. And then like by week 8, then maybe they'll consider it. But I don't think so. Next year, his contract, like I think they'll be able to move him. And I think Bakhtiari is just kind of like, I want to go play with Aaron. Right? Now, at the same time, you take a look at how it morphs to a beat reporter going to GM Brian Gutekunst just because Kurt Benkert went on the Kay Adams show and said, hey, this is my hot take. Goody had to come out and say, hey, we're not trading David Bakhtiari. So it started off as just Kurt Benkert.
Yeah, it was just like an opinion. It wasn't like, hey, David, I've got sources that say David is about to be moved. He's trying to be traded.
Yep.
He was like, I feel like maybe they'll get reunited.
And then that goes through the rounds of people posting about it, saying, oh, there's rumors now that the Jets are calling for him. And then it makes it all the way up to the GM going, no.
It's the game of telephone. It just like the message gets so distorted after it goes through so many channels. Also, the fact that Kurt didn't promote our show on Kay Adams got some major beef with him about that. Major.
But
he was just in Denver too, and didn't give me a call. So Kay Adams dead to me.
It makes sense because the reports coming out of Jets training camp that when they did that first joint practice with the Buccaneers, like Rodgers would have gotten sacked like 7 times or some crazy thing like that. There's been issues of like calling out the offensive line. And personally, I don't think the Jets offensive line is great by any stretch. I think it's a little overblown about like how bad they are. I just don't think they're good. Right. And it's like relying on certain guys to be healthy. And if those guys aren't healthy, then it's like, like big problems. But I mean, would Aaron Rodgers love Dave Bakhtiari? Obviously, I think Dave Bakhtiari probably would like to go play with Aaron Rodgers because, you're contending for a Super Bowl. But at the same time, like, I don't know what's going on in Jets camp. Have you caught up on Hard Knocks at all? Because like I haven't been able to watch.
I haven't even watched the first episode.
Okay. So I watched the first episode and it was pretty well because when I was at camp, I saw that report that the Buccaneers and Jets were supposed to have another joint practice and the Jets kind of stiffed them to the point where the Giants are like, oh, well, Buccaneers, you could use our training field. Like, that's fine. You can use our practice field. So I don't know what the Jets are like planning to do in order to like make that offensive line a little bit better. Or is this just like an off-season story that has kind of just gone viral a little bit? And it's like, oh no, They're like super duper bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to get a real read on an offensive line when your starting quarterback, who's also a veteran, isn't in there.
Yeah. He is playing, by the way, for the first time since like, I don't know. I think it's been a while. I think at least 2018, I think. He's going to be playing next, the third preseason game for at least a little bit.
Who?
Rodgers.
Oh, first time he's playing in preseason.
Yeah, since like 2018.
Like,
yeah.
What he just played last year? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, he's going to get some reps with his new team. But like a veteran quarterback does so much to make up for offensive line deficiencies, or they just perform better when you've got a quarterback who knows how to get rid of the football quickly. So I wouldn't take too much stock in that right now. You know, if we're talking week 3 or 4, Aaron Rodgers is one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the league, then yeah, maybe start worrying then. And the Jets line didn't look good last year because of injuries, but it looked good in run blocking scenario, right? Like the Jets could run the football, and then when Breece Hall gets hurt, like everything kind of went to shit for their offense after that. So, I wouldn't panic yet. It's just hard to get a real read on it.
I have to tell you about that. Thank you for bringing this up. I have to talk about this for a hot second. This has nothing, dude.
I saw that guy. That was maybe the saddest man I've ever seen.
It was the cringiest thing I've seen in a good long time. As somebody who makes like very corny, cheesy like comedy, I get it, right? Fine. The guy made videos beforehand.
Yeah, so tell the people what this is about. It's a dude who showed up to Packers training camp in an Aaron Rodgers Jets jersey, right?
He works for ESPN Madison. Like he does like the radio show. And he shows up to Packers training camp. This is the first day on Wednesday. It's the first joint practice with the Patriots. And he wears an Aaron Rodgers Jets jersey. Now, before this, he makes some videos and it's like, oh man, like LaFleur, like he didn't sign like my Rodgers jersey. He was so mad. And LaFleur's like, I gotta go to practice. So he walks into practice, throws out his arms, like to be like, look at all he's got. There's like 3 boos. Like 3. There's 1,500 people minimum. Like, there's 1,500 people in the bleachers, and then there's more people. And it was like, like that was the response. I didn't even know he walked in. That's how it was like really low. But he sat like 2 rows behind us. So he was right there. And practice is going along. And then like the offense is on the other side of the field from where we are. And it's like just the special teams unit on our side. Like they're practicing like kicking field goals. And you just hear from behind you, so you guys miss Aaron Rodgers? And there's like a silence, and it just goes, no. Like that's the response. There's like 3 people that just go, no. And then during kickoff, like they're kicking, he's like calling Carlson like a noodle leg and like all that stuff, which might be right. But, that's besides the point. Then goes deeper and starts being like, Sean Clifford, QB1, like there's QB competition, just like shout. Again, the offense is on the other side of the field. And like people are not even engaging with him. Like it's silent. Like he's saying things, he's just yelling them, and it's just silent. And so at the end of practice, like we're just turning around looking at each other, we've got a douche nozzle behind us. And then at the end of practice, he turns and he goes, does any Packers fan want to take a picture with me? And we turn around and the response is, why would we do that? And nobody took a picture with him. And we just walked away. Then he goes up to LaFleur and he basically is waiting for an autograph in a pic, like a clip that they post, which is 30 seconds too long. And he's just waiting and waiting. And like LaFleur's like signing things for kids and like taking picture. And he turns around and looks at him. He's like, okay. And he walks away. And it's like, Matt LaFleur signed an Aaron Rodgers jersey from the... And it was, dude, it was the cringiest. ESPN Madison is just like #1 most hated guy in Wisconsin right now. It was the cringiest thing I have seen in quite some time. And I was like, oh boy.
It was like a guy who was committed to a joke that was never going to work. It was like watching because I saw the clips. It was like watching a comedian just bomb for like and it's weird because it's, it's through social posts, but like it's to me, it felt like somebody who thought they had a really good idea to get some good content, and then it didn't work, realized it didn't work, and just, I respect that he stayed committed to something that was just, you say cringe, I just say lame.
It was cringe.
Because like when he was trying to get LaFleur to sign, he was like, "Won't sign my Rodgers jersey," and he's like saying it kind of audibly, but like away from LaFleur, as LaFleur is signing for like kids. It's like, fuck off, dude. Like, this is where you want to get your attention? This is the moment you're trying to do it in. It was fun, and it wouldn't have popped on my radar. I think I saw you like retweet something, and then saw it somewhere. I was like, okay, what's this going on? what's going on here?
Because it was just, dude, like you're at a training camp, like you're not even at a game, and it's like the Patriots, and you're yelling during special teams, like, does anyone miss Aaron Rodgers? Everyone's like, no.
He did not know his audience. Like, you're going into a very loyal fan base, trying to spark like a conversation about something like Packers fans don't really care about. Like, I feel like if more Packers fans were pissed off that Rodgers was gone, then it might have worked, right? Like if Packers fans were going into this season, like, why did we trade Rodgers? What is this They're like, Rodgers wanted out. This saga lasted for like 3 years. We're just happy to be moving on. It was a long divorce. We're wishing him the best. We like the new guy. Let's do it. He's like, but you want Rodgers back?
Yeah. But it was pretty funny. Like, it was pretty funny in the terms of the response to it.
Yeah.
It was like,
it was a bad joke. Didn't work. Didn't move on from it. What's the next biggest NFL preseason story? Oh, no, we are not, Sam. Sam, we are not. I appreciate you watching that. You are one of 8 people who like that.
Is it possible that Baker Mayfield is going to lose that starting job sooner rather than later because they haven't even committed that like he is going to be the guy?
If the Buccaneers had a better QB than Kyle Trask, yes.
Kyle Trask did decent, though.
Sure.
Did decent.
Baker did decent week 1, right? The fact that the Bucs haven't named a preseason or a starting QB
218 yards, touchdown to 20 out of 28. He did well against the Jets.
Little concerning. But I don't even think that's a big story.
Well, that's
because I don't give a shit who starts for the Buccaneers. I'm over Baker Mayfield, and I like him. We both rooted for him. We wanted his redemption story. I just don't care anymore.
I have no idea. I don't know why they did.
I would like to care, but I don't. I don't care who their quarterback is. There's just not an interesting option there. Even if Kyle Trask is like decent, it's like he's not exciting yet, like.
Well, the Buccaneers need to figure out what the hell they're going to be, right? Like that's a team that I think it's going to take a little while for them to rebuild because they built up that defense through the draft. Right? They built up that offense through the draft, and then they got Tom Brady with all the pieces together. They brought in a couple more. Like they drafted really well in Wirfs, and they brought in Gronkowski. They did those pieces, but now it's kind of like, all right, offense, like getting a little older. Mike Evans getting up there. Chris Godwin. Okay. We don't really know who our QB is. Offensive line lost some guys. Defense, we'll kind of see what's going on there, like with Devin White. But yeah, I don't know. Like they're just a weird, let's figure out who's going to remain on this team next year kind of vibe. That seems like what it's going to be.
If Stetson was on the Bucs, I'd be interested. Yeah. Here was an interesting thing I thought happened. Colts did not play Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Basically named him the starter. He played preseason week 1 and then got no reps week 2. So that's just kind of strange. Like, it's not strange if it's your starting quarterback that that you have, but I feel like he's a guy who could benefit from more reps. That said, Gardner Minshew and Sam Ehlinger both look pretty good for the Colts. But you've got the Anthony Richardson not playing, a little bit interesting. And then Jonathan Taylor, still one of the biggest stories, I think, going through training camp. He's going to be traveling with the team. He's still on the PUP list. Nobody knows if he's really playing. Adam Schefter, I saw Adam Schefter on McAfee show talking about it quite extensively and just said there's been like no progress made in terms of their contract situation. Neither side has really been willing to mend their issues there. So we still don't know, but
yeah, I'm very excited for Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave, and Carrington Valentine. Yes,
I mean, we haven't really got to see a ton from the Broncos yet, but like receiver Mims, he caught definitely one pass, but with the injury concerns, he's going to be more important than I think like I initially thought. It was like, oh, he's going to have some time, but I think he's going to have to make a bigger impact. He had one catch for 8 yards. So Marvin Mims, third round, or was it in the second, third? I forget. Broncos didn't pick till late. I think maybe they moved up in the third, but he's gonna have to play. He's gonna have to make an impact. Marvin Mims. But I just need to see more with him in the offense.
Yeah,
I think a hamstring or some shit limited him for a bit, but anyway.
I mean, I think Richardson. So because the other talking about rookie QBs, Bryce Young, like he played a little bit. Talk about offensive lines. I mean, thank God they got Icky, but geez, dude, like that offensive line. I mean, we knew that Bryce Young. I'm so excited. We knew that Bryce Young was going to have challenges right off the bat, right? But throw him behind a bad offensive line because the Panthers' offensive line was like horrible, like real bad. They got Sticky Icky, got a little bit better. Now it's like, all right, it's still not great. Ugh. So I don't know. I think it might be a rough start to the season for Bryce Young.
Yeah, we'll see.
Again, it's preseason, before anything. It's just I don't know.
I mean the Panthers and the Texans are both in this situation, right, where their offensive rosters just as a whole aren't super exciting. So it's both of those QBs drafted really high, but it feels like we're not going to get a feel for who those QBs really are until very late in this season, but more likely next year. Whereas Anthony Richardson, you think he's going to come in and make, and the Colts receive, like all of these teams, you're wondering about how the ball catchers are going to help out their young QBs. Like nobody has like a guy who, and Michael Pittman's probably the best on all three of those rosters, right? At this moment, but none of them are like receivers who just can help a quarterback take over a game. So, but Richardson, I think unlike those other guys, can do it based on his ability to run. And you would like to have Jonathan Taylor back there for him to hand off to, because he's probably the most exciting back they have. The Texans have Dameon Pierce, and we'll see what he does in year 2. But yeah, I think Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, who's not even been named as the starter yet. There's a lot to learn on where those quarterbacks really are and how they're going to fit into those teams. Both of those teams have all three of those teams have new head coaches. There's just too many variables to even, I think, like get a beat on them.
Yeah, Perna talked about him.
I mean, we're excited about him, but like he would be a running back 3.
Yeah.
That's like a guy you take very, very late, maybe like very last round. And his only upside is if, in terms of playing time, it's like, does something happen to Javonte or Samaje where he's going to be an RB2? He's a guy who's probably is more like he's going to snake a touchdown maybe every now and then from Javonte or Samaje Perine, and you're going to be pissed off that he robbed a touchdown. But I don't foresee him like getting a ton.
Kermit Me Holmes, pay for the kitty. Boop. Appreciate you, buddy. Congratulations on the house. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Congrats.
Wow, bought a house and dropping $50 here. If your super chat a month from now is my house has been repossessed because I wasn't smart with my money, I'm going to point back to this, Kermit. Point back to this.
My name is Russell, and I am unlimited.
Talk your shit.
We haven't used that one in a while. We haven't used it in a while.
Well, he is unlimited now.
Appreciate you, Karen. Congrats on the house, buddy. That's freaking awesome. No, I think they're both getting chucked in. I think
throw them to the wolves.
I think they're both getting chucked in. Which one has a better chance of being more successful in the first 8 weeks? Just with the roster around them, of course, their playing ability.
Bryce, in my opinion, Bryce.
Think so?
I just think I trust Frank Reich a little bit more to have him going. I think the Texans offensive coordinator, I can't even remember his name. Bigger question mark there. Brock Purdy looked good. I watched in the 49ers game. I think he only played that first series in San Francisco, didn't score because the Broncos defense started playing very good in the red zone. But Brock Purdy looked like he's going to be ready to go. And it's funny because 49ers fans were bitching about him throwing interceptions in practice. It's like, who cares? He came out. He looked good. Daniel Jones looked sharp. RBT. I used, dude, his the photo of Belichick that you posted. That shit was used everywhere. Every article about Belichick not being in Madden, because I made a short, everyone had RBT's tweet, and I used it too. So thank you, RBT. Purdy, Dan Jones. Who has a bigger year, Tom? That's a tough question.
Oh, I mean, I think just with the guys around him, I think Purdy has the bigger ceiling in terms of just coming into his second year, getting a full season. Obviously, you got injured and stuff, but yeah, I trust the skill players around Purdy who can make him look even better. Daniel Jones, I mean, again, I was actually talking about this last week. I think a lot of that's just going to depend on Saquon, right? If Saquon has another year like he did, of course, they got some pass catchers. They got Darren Waller, which is exciting, but can he stay healthy? Is that offensive line still going to be good? If they can kind of take a next step, I think the Giants will be fine, but I just think the skill players surrounding the offense of the 49ers is better.
They're in such similar situations, and they're very different quarterbacks, but it's they both have these great offensive head coaches now, right? And we saw the difference Brian Daboll made for the Giants in one season. This is Daniel Jones' second season with him, and I have not been super high on Dan Jones because I still think there's a lot he needs to prove throwing the ball, and the Giants have 50 receivers. We don't know who's even going to be receiver number 2 yet. That is all in terms of fantasy drafting on Underdog. You get late into the draft. There's 8 Giants receivers always available to pick.
They're always there. Yeah,
they're all you're and their projections. Don't know.
Yeah, but no, it gets a little dicey.
Daboll, Kyle Shanahan, great offensive minds, and I think just watching the way Daboll calls plays for the Giants is fun. You're he gets it. They both have tremendous running backs, right? McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. And you're right. The difference is the Giants have they have Kittle. So it's Kittle. There's Darren Waller.
49ers,
We've seen played really well, but let's see what Darren Waller does with the Giants. And then you got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. You just some of the pass catchers for the 49ers better. But after, I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little bit high on Dan Jones.
Look at you. That's a sentence I never thought would come out of your mouth.
Hey, I'll admit when I'm wrong because I have to do it every day. What else?
I get used to it.
I'm getting used to it.
Do you want to talk about Drew Lock real quick?
Sure.
Let's talk about better situation. Brock Purdy.
But Pickett's another guy people should be high on. He's a guy who's
Correct.
been playing well. And
if that offensive line is good, I know that literally anytime somebody talks about Kenny Pickett, the first few words to start that sentence are, if the offensive line is good, then insert X. Because they have Najee Harris who can run the ball. They have George Pickens, who's a monster, right? You hope that Freiermuth is going to take a next step. They have options. And of course, one of the most well-coached teams with Mike Tomlin. But
yeah, I think their line is going to be better. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Pickett's in a better situation necessarily. I think more is expected of him. So like it almost makes it impossible for him to be in a better situation. But they're both in good situations. Like, who has a better arm?
Yeah.
Pick or Purdy? Don't know.
That's it. That is true. That is accurate. Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, everyone.
All right. Let me say I'm high on every quarterback in the league except for Russell Wilson.
Listen, I heard, if I recall correctly, you did a video and Raiders fans were getting after you because you weren't talking about Aiden O'Connell enough. And look, he goes out and has another nice week. So are you making another one of those videos?
I just hyped up Aiden O'Connell. But yeah, I'm working on it today.
Yep, now it's done. Now you're going to mention Aiden O'Connell. And then what's going to happen week 3? He's not going to do well. And this is just the Perna curse. Clip it. It's the Perna curse.
Here's the X factor for the Steelers. Jalen Warren. 1 carry, 62 yards, touchdown.
Done.
A Steelers running back had an average of 62 yards per carry.
Not this year.
Everything's going to change for the Steelers. They can run the football.
60 yards a carry. I mean, those are just the stats. Yeah, no, again, we're not, unless they're really, really bad, I don't think we're trading either of those guys. And I agree with that. Even if the Packers aren't going to make the playoffs this year, because I think if you can have a year of your newer QB behind a really good offensive line, it's only good things, because then they can learn to adapt. If they lose those guys. And I think the Packers' depth is pretty decent, except at some places. But Zach Tom has been looking really, really good. Rasheed Walker. So I'm excited. But Brandon Perna, what do you got coming out today, buddy?
Working on preseason week 2, stock up, stock down.
Yeah.
There will be stuff in there that Tom and I did not talk about today.
Hell yeah.
What that is, I don't know yet. Still writing it.
Well, you'll find out. You'll find out. I'll have a clip dropping from the Mark Murphy interview. We'll do that. It's going to come out probably tomorrow, most likely. But yeah, I'll have a clip dropping from that. I'm also going to put out a little vlog action where so Johnny and I, we went and got front row preseason tickets. So we were able to get a bunch of really cool footage. So yeah, so I'll put that out today. And yeah, we're going to,
sexy.
We're going to get crazy this week. It's beginning. So it's beginning. But Nathan Rourke, talk about him. Nathan Rourke is the savior of the Jacksonville Jaguars in case anything ever happens, which I hope nothing ever does happen.
Yeah. He's just made some head turning plays both weeks. So
yes,
he looks like an escape artist. Kind of looks like Carson Wentz when he was on his MVP pace.
Why would you do that to Nathan?
When he was on his MVP, pace.
Why would you do that?
Do you remember how good Carson Wentz looked that season, though?
Why would you compare?
Oh, we never talked about Drew Lock. What did you want to say about Drew Lock?
Wentz.
What did you want to say about Drew Lock?
No, I don't want to talk about Drew Lock anymore. You want him to do. I hope he becomes a Hall of Famer.
Drew Lock made a couple nice throws. Look, Drew Lock, he's got arm talent. I saw him do that plenty of times. Some dimes to Cortland Sutton. And hopefully he's learning the game. I don't want Drew Lock's only NFL highlight to be him rapping on the sideline. I wish more than that for him. But Seahawks fans getting excited about Drew Lock, Geno Smith still as their starter.
And you're like, I've been down that road before.
That's just me last year being excited about Russell Wilson. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Yep. I mean, Yeah.
I think
Listen, how
Drew
would you?
Lock would always he could be a Brett Favre-ish type guy where he's got the talent to make all the plays. He just was never consistent. And sure, he needs more. You could argue more time to play, but he's kind of mistake prone, a little too gunslingery.
He's the corner on the Giants, right? I've heard
I
some
have
good
no
things,
clue.
but I haven't heard a ton. I gotta be honest. I've heard some decent things, but it's just I haven't taken a dive into it. But I don't know, man. I don't know. But if Drew Lock does become a Hall of Famer and wins the Seahawks a Super Bowl, is the Russell Wilson trade the worst one in history?
If Drew Lock wins the Seahawks a Super Bowl, then yes, I'll say that.
Dude, I would honestly feel bad. I would legitimately feel bad.
I wouldn't. I'd
You'd be okay?
so happy for Drew Lock.
Yeah?
I'd be very happy for Drew Lock if that happened.
Yeah, you were covering your mouth there. I didn't really hear what you said. What did you say?
I'd just be so happy for him.
Oh, I feel like this full sentence is not really coming
Just
out.
happy for Drew Lock.
What was that? One more time. Just trying to get that.
I'd be so happy for Drew Lock if that.
Yeah. Got it.
And
Well,
no,
folks,
it's still Deshaun Watson. Same trade, same year. That was worse. It was worse.
That's fair. But folks, we appreciate you. We'll be back on Wednesday. Don't worry. We're back to 3 times a week, right? Until now, until forever.
Yep.
All right. You're getting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, GPS now until the end of the season, unless something comes up randomly throughout the year. But yeah, we're going to rock.
Underdog,
but folks,
3 shows a week until you're dead. That's the contract.
That's it, baby.
With blood, and we did.
That's it. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. This is GPS. And you have been navigated.
Playing for your destination, and it's not Drew Lock winning the Super Bowl.